Continuing on with sample problem number 2. We've established the income and the filing status. Now we talk about credits. Credits, which is fantastic. It's a direct reduction in the tax liability, the tax owed. Let's say you owe $5,000 in tax and you get a credit of $2,000, means you only owe $3,000. If you owe $1,000 in tax and you get a credit of $2,000, you may get $1,000 back. You get money back. It's like getting money. That's what a credit is. It's not a reduction of your taxable income. Rather, it's a reduction of your tax liability. And in this sample problem, there are two tax credits, the child tax credit and the child independent care credit. This video talks about child independent care credit. During the year, Samantha paid $2,600 to KidCare, and the EIN number or Social Security number is given. That's required to have this information in order to file for the child independent care expense credit. Samantha paid $1,200 to Robin for the care of her daughter. Tabitha has a 15-year-old cat, Mr. Scratchy, who is blind, blah, blah, blah. She supports 100% for the cat. That's bogus information, so ignore it. At this point, we know that there is child independent care expenses and information of the child care provider, all that is known in order to file for the credit. What is the credit? That's in Chapter 7.3. You will learn that to qualify, the child must be under 13 years old or is a dependent who cannot care for himself or herself. In the situation where the couple is divorced, then the child does not need to be a dependent of the taxpayer. The child who lives with the taxpayer would be enough for the taxpayer to qualify for this dependent care credit. How much is the credit? It's on Form 2441. And that form must be filed with 1040 if you are filing for this credit. There's a chart on this form with rates based on income level, the adjusted gross income amounts. Here you see Form 2441. There's a chart on here that shows the rate. 35% is the highest rate, the lowest being 20%. And that is based on the AGI, wherever the AGI falls in the range. Let's say between 0 and 15,000. For example, 10,000, then the rate would be 35% times the qualified expense. And with higher income level exceeding 43,000 of AGI, the rate is 20%. Take 20% times the qualified expense, which is the amount that's paid to, for example, the daycare center or the care service provider for the dependent. Note that the max qualified expense is $3,000. This $3,000 is not the credit. It's the qualified expense. It's how much of your expense qualifies for the credit. And how much qualifies depends on your level of AGI. And that level of AGI is on this chart here. It's in different ranges. And it tells you the percentage rate. Take the percentage rate times the qualified expenses to arrive at the credit amount. This Form 2441 does the calculation for you. In line 3, you would input $3,000. That's the maxed qualified expense. And then line 4, enter your earned income. What is your earned income? It's the income that you've earned, which is the salary, wages, tips, and so forth. It's not interest, it's not dividends. Where does this come from? Line 1 of Form 1040. In this problem, how much is that? $32,000. Line 5. If married filing jointly, enter the spouse's earned income. All others, enter the amount from line 4. Why does it ask for the spouse's earned income? The reason is because the credit is limited to the lesser of either spouse's income. It says here, if a taxpayer makes $22,000 and the spouse earns $1,500, so one makes $22,000, the other makes $1,500, and they spend $1,900 on childcare, the maximum qualified expenses is only $1,500. Even though they spend $1,900, they wouldn't qualify for $1,900 because it has to be the lesser of either spouse's income. That's the limitation. Because of that limitation, we must input the spouse's earned income on line 5 if we are married filing jointly. All others, then we would input whatever we have on line 4 onto line 5, which is $32,000. Line 6, we enter the smallest of line 3, 4, or 5. It's $3,000. On line 7, we enter the amount from Form 1040, line 8B. What is line 8B on 1040? That's adjusted gross income, AGI. Why is this relevant? Let's go back to Form 2441. The AGI in this problem is $33,580. That falls in this range right here, and that's 25%. So we input 25%. The amount of credit is 25% times the qualified expense, but that qualified expense has a max of $3,000 as indicated right here. $3,000 for one qualifying person or $6,000 for 2 or more persons. In this case, the taxpayer has only one child, and so qualified is $3,000 max. And we take that max times 25%, where we obtain from the range right here. And 25% times 3,000 is $750. Let's scroll up on the form for a moment. Don't forget name, social security number, the care provider. In this case, it's KidCare, and it's Robin Doubtfire, address, appropriate social security number or EIN number, and the amount paid. What is the amount paid? For KidCare, it's $2,600, right? Robin, $1,200. And the total amount is $3,800. The name of the child and his or her social security number. Take a look at this box for a moment. Did you receive dependent care benefits? No? Then complete part 2. If yes, then complete part 3 on the back. Was there any dependent care benefits? For example, receiving employer assistance, like your employer pays for child care service or some type of other programs that you receive? In this case, no. So we don't have to fill out part 3, the dependent care benefits. We only need to do part 2, which we started already and almost finished. So the qualified expense is $3,800, but the maxed qualified is only $3,000 for one child, $6,000 for 2 or more. In this case, it's just one child. And so that qualified expense max of $3,000 times 25% gets you $750 as the amount of credit. Line 10 says, enter the amount from the credit limit worksheet in the instructions. What is the credit limit worksheet? That is the worksheet within the instructions for Form 2441. And here it is. We are concerned with only this portion. Line 1, it says, enter the amount from Form 1040, line 12B. What is line 12B on Form 1040? That's the tax. We don't have to look at it right now. Take my word that that's the tax. Line 2 says, enter the amount from Schedule 3, line 1. Go to Schedule 3, line 1. And what is that? That is foreign tax credit. So it's another credit. And in this case, it's 0. We don't have any in this problem. No foreign tax credit. Then line 3 is to subtract line 2 from line 1, which gets us $1,550. And we input $1,550 on line 12 of the Form 2441. What is the reason for this portion? This is to check the limit of our credit. How much credit can we use? We can only use the credit up to the amount of the tax. And how much is the tax? Line 1 says $1,550. And how much credit is applied to this tax? Already 0. So then we have $1,550 that we can still apply credits to. So we input $1,550 on line 10. That's our tax liability limit. Then in line 11, we compare line 9, $750, to the $1,550. And we input the lower of the two, right? It says enter the smaller of line 9 or line 10 here. That would be $750. And $750 is what we can use as our credit, child and dependent care expenses. And what we need to do as instructed on line 11 here is to input this number on Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is additional credits and payments. We list out all of the non-refundable credits here. Line 2, credit for child and dependent care expenses, $750. This amount would then go to the total. If we have other types of non-refundable credits, it will be part of line 7, the total. And then from this line 7, we report it, we carry it over to line 13B of Form 1040. Here we see line 13B. It says add Schedule 3, line 7, and line 13A and enter the total. So line 13B is made up of the amounts from Schedule 3 as well as the amounts from line 13A. Above line 13B, we see child tax credit and credits for other dependents. So that is input in line 13A, the child tax credit or credit for other dependents. We take that amount and we add it to the amounts from line 7 of Schedule 3. That total becomes the amount in line 13B. We haven't gone to the child tax credit or credit for other dependents. We will get to that in the next video, as well as the additional child tax credit and the earned income credit. All these are credits that reduces the tax liability, the amount of tax owed.